Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Salatu Wassalam ala Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. My dear sisters and brothers, I greet you with peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Before I say anything else, whether it's about politics or war, the many problems that we're facing, I have to say, alhamdulillah, it is such a tremendous blessing and an honor to see every single one of you guys here today. To see you at ICNA, to see you as a part of this community, this great gathering, that's always a real light in my year. But also for being in this space, for being in this room also with us today, to be a part of this discussion. When I think so many people are scared to even listen. And I have to say that it's a tremendous blessing to be also on this panel with my colleagues with the National Coalition to Protect Civil Freedoms. I'm reminded after Sister Sharmin's reading of that letter of the importance of alliance, the importance of coalition, of friendship. We're at a time of war. Whether you like to admit it or not, I know that kind of makes people's eyes go wide. People don't like to talk about war, but we're in one, whether you want to acknowledge that or not. And we're losing. People are being killed. Your sisters and brothers, my sisters and brothers, and not just our sisters and brothers in faith. Human beings, our fellows of the Bani Adam, are being killed every day. Some of them are being locked in boxes. Literally, locked in cages. They've been kidnapped, many of them, from their home. And are being confined against their will and have been charged with no crime. I want to let that sit. And I was really glad that we were talking about this today because it's somewhat unfashionable nowadays to talk about prisons, to talk about Guantanamo. During the Bush regime, it was a little bit more fashionable, to talk about Guantanamo and to protest that, as we should have. But it's a little bit less fashionable now. It's a little out of style now. To talk about Guantanamo, to talk about war, because now it's a Democratic president that is leading that war, that has normalized that war and extended it, and has blood on his hands as well. And in this time of very high stakes, I'm disturbed to see us so often take such a defensive posture. While there are lives on the line, we like to talk a lot, and it's out of fear, I think, that we like to tell everyone that we're a religion of peace. We're a religion of peace, we're a religion of peace, we're a religion of tolerance. And yes, that's true, we are, but that peace is achieved through justice. That peace is maintained by making sure that we're standing for justice. The state has broken the contract that exists between us as citizens and the government. The Constitution is not just there to limit us. The law is not just to limit it. Part of it's to limit us, to stop us from hurting each other and all that. But it's also to limit the government from hurting us as well. That's the point. It's what gives the government the right to rule here. The reason that they're allowed to hold guns and we aren't is because they are supposed to abide by a law and respect our freedoms. Right? We have liberty. Human rights. And not just civil rights, right? Civil rights are what the judges will protect for you, but human rights are what you're born with and no one can take away. And as Muslims, as people of faith, I think we all believe in that. We all believe that we deserve certain things. Dare I call it entitlement. We're entitled to certain things, to a certain amount of human dignity, to a certain amount of freedom, a freedom in our choices, a freedom in our mobility. And while all this is happening, we're so scared. Or at least for years we have been. I'm hopeful. I'm actually very hopeful that things are turning a corner now. But for so long we've been so scared that we distance ourselves from the people who are telling the truth about this. We say, yeah, I'm Muslim, and we got to the point at least where we were proud to be Muslim. I know there was a period of time when people would want to pretend they weren't Muslim. Now at least we're proud to be Muslim, but we need to say that, oh, I'm not a radical Muslim. This is, I hear this too often. That, yeah, I'm Muslim, but I'm not a radical Muslim. And I have to do this every single time that you guys make the mistake of giving me a microphone. I need to ask you, what does radical mean? Someone please. I know you guys, I recognize some of you guys. Can I call? Okay. What does radical mean?
It means to get to the root.
To get to the root of something. That's thank you. Radical means you go to the dictionary. It doesn't mean extreme, it doesn't mean violent, it doesn't mean dangerous or terroristic or anything like that. To be radical means to get to the root of something, pertaining to the fundamental nature of something. And so it really shouldn't surprise you that they make such a big deal about you being radical, that they make it seem like it's a criminal thing. That to be radicalized is a bad thing, that it makes you, you're dangerous now. Because God forbid you actually think to the root of the problems that we're facing today. God forbid. NYP talks about radicalization. They say radicalization is, signs of radicalization are growing a beard, frequenting mosques, going to the masajid, going to bookstores, because God forbid you read books, quitting smoking. Well, this is in their document. I didn't make this up. You don't have to take Cyrus' opinion. You don't have to take my word for it. This is in the report, Radicalization in the West. You can find it online. They're very proud of that document. They paid like 6 figures for it. And here we are on our side, where there's a war going on that's killing people, and we want to say, I'm not a radical. I'm cool with the war. I voted for Obama. Like seriously, this is really what our citizenship asks of us? No. But I'm hopeful. I'm not, and it's not just because I'm an optimist. But we have to be. You have to be. You have to hold hope. Just for the sake of your sanity, please. You have to have goals. You have to understand where you're going. You have to have an idea of how you like the society to look when you leave it. So we're not just complaining. We have very real goals. Very real things that need to change. Basic things. Not asking for anything different from Muslims as for anybody else. In fact, we're very conscious of the fact that what's being done to Muslims today has the purpose for them. As if these guys haven't had enough. Our brother Shukri's daughter just passed away last week. May Allah forgive her and accept her to Jannah. Young girl. One of men of the Holy Land Foundation in prison for nothing more than giving charity. Sending charity to orphanages and for food. Sent to prison for what, 35 years? 65 years. This is very real. These people have families. I think it would be a little bit more obvious if it happened to our immediate family, right? If your sister or your brother were kidnapped, your house was raided, people kicked down your door, took the computers out, carried your father away, your brother away, your son. That would be real. That would be. Then you want to stand up, like, wow, this is a real thing. But that's already happened. And I think it's with this, it's important that you understand that you know the human faces, and that you know the families behind this, because these are your families. And I think this is why we're seeing a new momentum. I'm seeing things changing. It's a beautiful thing. I speak a lot at colleges. Some of the MSAs have, I'm sure you guys know, you have these things called the Islam Awareness Weeks, right? How many of you guys are in college? Show of hands. How many of you guys have been to college? The Islam Awareness Weeks. People have speakers come talk about Islam. Sometimes you have events about Islam for the Muslims, and sometimes you'll have dawah events for people who aren't Muslim to educate people. And I've noticed something in these last couple months, this spring especially, something a little bit different than years past. Because so often when the MSA, when the organizers ask me to come speak, they want me to talk about things that they know are in the news a lot. They want me to talk about terrorism. Usually just terrorism. Like, we want you to tell us that Islam condemns terrorism. And I'm like, well, you already know, so why do I gotta tell you again? But they say, no, we want everyone else to know. We want to talk about the misconceptions about Islam. And so we're responding to a dominant narrative, and we're already starting by apologizing. It's like right off the bat. No one even asked yet. And so I'm like, okay, cool. And I go to the event, and I don't bring a speech. And I asked the audience, if we're lucky enough to have anyone who's not Muslim in the audience, which kind of happens with our dawah events, we're doing dawah with the Muslims, which is fine. We need to do that too. But I asked people, what do you want to hear about? And usually the organizer is like the first one with his hand up, misconceptions about Islam. I'm like, I got you, bro. And then I ask people, and if there are people in the audience who aren't Muslim, never one time in the dozens, if not hundreds of events that I've done at colleges, has anyone asked me about terrorism. I'm sorry, I can't say terrorism without saying it with a George Bush accent. It just kind of comes out that way. I don't really know how to say it otherwise. No one's ever asked me about terrorism. They want to talk about war. They want to talk about Palestine. They want to talk about civil rights issues, surveillance. They know what's happening better than we do. And I'll tell you, I can tell you this from experience, the people in this country that matter aren't worried about whether or not you condemn terrorism. They don't. They don't care. They know better already. They're waiting for you to stand up. Most people in this country are looking at Muslims thinking that we're soft. Seriously. They're like, how much worse does it have to be? How much worse does it have to get before people stand up for each other? That's what people are wondering. They know you're a good American and this and that, whatever that means. They know you love this country. They think you love this country a little too much. I'm just kidding. But really though, this is very important. We need to have a little bit more self-confidence, and this is where I see us heading, and this is why I can give this speech with a smile on my face. Because I see us going in that direction. And people from different generations, people are working together in ways, building coalitions, building with this community, with the Muslim community, with other communities, with our lawyers, our anti-war activists, people who have been on this for decades, making the connections with the political prisoners who have gone into jail in the last 12 years, with the political prisoners who have been in jail for decades, since the civil rights movement, which is a living civil rights movement. This isn't something that you just learned about in history. I think it was done. That movement continues to today. This is just a new chapter. And so increasingly we're going to find, and I hope, and it's up to us, it's up to all of us to be a part of this, to make sure that our organizing is relevant. Our imams, our masajid, our organizations, our coalitions need to know that they will not be relevant, they will not represent us, unless they're working on the issues that affect our lives. It's good to talk about wudu and hijab and all that stuff, that's cool. Don't go tell anybody that I told you don't make wudu. Like, you have to know how to make wudu and pray right. But after you learn that, remember that even our rituals have the purpose of helping us internalize and inculcate ethics. That our Islam, we have certain things that are for us. But even those things that are for us are to make us better citizens, better members of our society. People that stand up for each other. So if you're praying, you can stand up for prayer, but you can't stand up to go and rally for your brothers and sisters, then you're not really using your legs properly. Like, if you can give in charity once a year, but you don't have a spirit of giving, a spirit of philanthropy, where you want for your brother what you want for yourself, that's not Iman. We're striving. This is a process. I'm setting the bar pretty high, I know. We all are trying to rise to it. And so, I hope that we are beginning a process here. Now, this speech is not the end. This is the beginning. We're not just here to entertain you guys. You guys are leaders. You're not just leaders tomorrow. You guys are leaders today. I hope that whatever you learn, if any of it's beneficial, and in every workshop this week, and I know you're going to take it back to your community. You're going to take it back to your family, to your friends. You're going to share. You're going to say, oh, I heard this great lecture. I heard these great lectures. I got this great hijab, bizarre. This crazy guy Cyrus was talking in one of the sessions. But you're going to share that information with people, and you're going to take this conversation outwards. This is not, I hope it doesn't stop here. Because our liberation will only be achieved through education, through decolonization. Yes, of our lands, but also our bodies and our minds. We need to break free of the prisons, not just the ones that are physical and are confining people physically, but the mental ones that we've erected for ourselves and we've locked ourselves in. It's a true honor and a blessing to be with you guys today. Because when I see you guys standing up, so much of this stuff is meant to divide us. It's meant to drive us apart. Whether it's war, and all of this is a part of war. It all goes back to the war. The war is the issue. Everything else is just a tactic of war. But it's all meant to divide us from each other. Surveillance, whatever it is. Informants, all this stuff. It's meant to divide us. And so when I see us together at a gathering like this, on a weekend like this, when I see us, showing up proud to be Muslim, you guys represent, you guys look good, everyone just shining. Like this is community. We build a community of love this way. And if we're not building that community, if we're not really feeling like a ummah, there's a difference between a jama and a ummah, right? There's a difference. You can be a group, we can all be in the same room together, we can be congregated, but if we're not acting like a community, then we haven't really gotten the point yet. And so I hope that you guys will all feel like you're a community with me, with all of us, and with the people that unfortunately have their pictures and their names behind us. We do this in order to keep their memory in front of us. And I hope that we grow in love for each other, even if we don't necessarily like each other. But I'm sure I would like all of you guys. But we're family, remember that. Like, we all got that weird cousin that you don't really like, but you gotta love them, that's your family. And keep that love, keep that feeling, keep that showing that's the most important thing, and you will see the benefits of that on the way out. Please keep in touch with us at the National Coalition to Protect Civil Freedoms. Please do. If I have not had the opportunity to meet you yet, I look forward to it. If you'd like to get involved, whatever it is that you have, what skills you have, what interests you have, use that for something good. If you'd like to write, write. We need it. You can paint, draw, sing, whatever it is, use it. Like to design stuff, you like to be on Facebook all day, we can use it. Like we need that. You can use all these things for good, and we need it desperately. So I appreciate all of your time, and God bless you. Many times over. I love every one of you for the sake of Allah. Keep each other in your du'as, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakumullah khairan wa assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Lastly, we're going to have Abdullah Mahmoud.